Hey friends, here today to ask you, are you seated? Are you seated? We're going to get into that. My last video was on childlike faith, and today I just want to get a little bit deeper into that so you can kind of see what it can look like in your everyday life to have childlike faith and be seated. When I think of faith, this is what I think of. I think of just believing God for everything He said in His Word, not doubting it when the troubles come. And friends, I've doubted it plenty, and I still fall into that sometimes. Like, God, did you really say, is this really true? Can this be possible? And Satan said to Eve in the garden, did God really say? Did He really say? And we can fall into that trap. We can fall directly into that trap when things are getting hard, and again, when the battles are super long. So I'm going to read you a verse that talks about being seated, and then we'll get right into it. So Psalms 23, 4 through 6. Many of you have probably heard this read at a funeral, and it's sad. However, that's not really the only thing it's about. Let's read it. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies, and you honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessings. Surely your goodness and unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. I love it. And it says, you prepare me a feast in the presence of my enemies, meaning you're going to have enemies and they're going to be coming at you, but you need to remain seated. It is your choice. That is something that God cannot force you to do. It's will. He gave us a will. He doesn't want a bunch of robots, right? He doesn't want, how is that love if we all are forced to love Him? Are we forced to sit at a table with Him? He's asking you to rest. He's asking you to sit, and He will prepare a feast, sustenance. He will give you everything you need in that time, whether it be spiritual or physical. But we need to learn to be seated. And it's difficult, friends. I never come on these things talking to you like I'm above you. I have been there, or I am there, and He's teaching me something. He's teaching me to be seated. He's teaching me, okay, all of these things are swirling around me. My life feels like it's falling apart, or someone I love's life seems to be falling apart, or someone I love has been laboring in prayer for it seems like forever, or someone I love is sick, and I can get frustrated or overwhelmed and be tempted to say, but did God really say? Because it doesn't look like that. And He's teaching me to be seated with Him, to rest with Him. Let Him take care of the situation and stop trying to control it. Any control friends out there? I'm one. Any of you out there with me? We can want to maneuver situations to make them turn out the way we seem when God has a better plan. Will you just be seated? Will you be seated with God? Will you say, yes, Lord, I believe everything that's in your word, even when it doesn't look like it? That's faith, friends. That's being seated at the table and enjoying a feast with our amazing God, so He can provide everything you need. One other quick thing that I want to tell you about prayers you're waiting to be answered. In Daniel 10, I love this. Love this. In Daniel 10, it states that Daniel's been waiting on an answer to a prayer, and it's not coming. And it's feeling like this has to happen or I'm going to lose it, right? But an angel comes and talks to Daniel. Everything in the Bible is because we need to be taught it. And the angel tells Daniel, God heard your prayer on the day you said it, and He sent the answer. But the angels were warring in heaven against no other else than the father of lies, the devil, warring to get that answer. So God hears you. He is answering your prayers. Sometimes they're held up, but God's stronger and they're going to arrive. It's just whether you will remain seated and you'll remain in faith in His word and say, God did say, God did say that, and I'm going to remain seated with him and trust him. So yes, friends, as usual, seek and knock, but remain seated with him.